The American legal system has seen a lot of strange cases, but some lawsuits were so absurd they sound completely unreal. And yet, every single one of these cases actually made it to court. Here are the strangest court cases in American history. Let's start with a classic case that perfectly shows how far some lawsuits can go. One man once tried to sue himself. He seriously claimed that he had violated his own civil rights through his personal actions and poor life decisions, and because of that, he demanded financial compensation from the state. His argument was that, since he could not realistically pay himself damages, the government should step in and cover the costs. The court reviewed the case, acknowledged the filing, and then firmly dismissed it. But the lawsuit itself remains one of the most bizarre in American legal history. In another case, a woman decided to take a psychic to court after claiming that a single bad prediction completely ruined her life. According to her lawsuit, the psychic's words caused her to make disastrous decisions that led to serious financial losses, the collapse of her relationship, and even the loss of her job. She argued that the prediction directly influenced her actions and emotional state. However, the court ruled that believing in fortune-telling is a personal choice, and that responsibility for those decisions could not be transferred to a psychic, and the case was ultimately dismissed. In the 1970s, a man actually filed a lawsuit against television itself, blaming the medium for the direction his life had taken. He argued that years of excessive TV watching had turned him into a lazy and unmotivated person, destroyed his ambition, and prevented him from becoming successful. According to the lawsuit, television programming had negatively influenced his thinking, habits, and daily routine. The judge quickly rejected the claim, stating that personal responsibility could not be shifted onto a screen, but the case became infamous as one of the strangest attempts to hold technology legally accountable. One of the most bizarre lawsuits in American history was filed against God himself. A man in Nebraska claimed that God was responsible for natural disasters, deadly diseases, and the suffering experienced by humanity, and therefore should be held legally accountable. He argued that these events caused widespread harm and deserved compensation. The court dismissed the case, not because of its obvious absurdity, but because there was no legal way to serve court papers to the defendant, making the lawsuit impossible to proceed under the law. Animals have even found their way into American courtrooms. In one unusual case in Texas, a man sued his neighbor for emotionally damaging his dog after a heated argument between the two men. According to the lawsuit, the dog was so affected by the incident that it became withdrawn, anxious, and completely stopped barking, which the owner described as clear psychological trauma. He demanded compensation for emotional distress caused to his pet. The court ultimately dismissed the case, but it was officially filed and remains part of court records as one of the strangest animal-related lawsuits. One of the most famous and widely misunderstood court cases involved a man suing a fast food restaurant because the coffee he was served was dangerously hot. At first, the lawsuit became a national joke, with many people mocking the claim and calling it frivolous. However, the reality behind the case was far more serious. The coffee was served at an extremely high temperature, capable of causing severe burns within seconds. The man suffered significant injuries that required medical treatment, including skin grafts. Evidence revealed that the restaurant had received numerous prior complaints about excessively hot coffee, but failed to change its practices. Despite public ridicule, the man won the case, and the court ruled that the company had knowingly ignored safety risks. As a result, the lawsuit led to nationwide changes in warning labels, temperature regulations, and consumer safety standards across the fast food industry, making it one of the most influential lawsuits in American history. Another woman filed a lawsuit against a washing machine manufacturer after attempting to wash a live cat in the machine. She claimed that the company failed to provide a clear warning that animals should not be placed inside the washer, and argued that the tragic outcome was the result of insufficient safety instructions. According to her lawsuit, the absence of such a warning made the product defective. The court strongly disagreed, ruling that warning labels are not required to cover matters of obvious common sense. The judge stated that manufacturers cannot reasonably be expected to warn consumers against every imaginable misuse, especially actions that are clearly dangerous and irrational. There was also a man who decided to take legal action after being invited to a party that completely failed to meet his expectations. According to his lawsuit, the event was boring, poorly organized, and not enjoyable in any way, which he claimed resulted in a ruined evening and emotional disappointment. He demanded financial compensation for the wasted time and negative experience. The court showed little sympathy for the claim, ruling that personal dissatisfaction is not a legal injury, and the case never moved forward beyond the initial filing. And finally, one of the most ridiculous lawsuits involved a man who sued his city after tripping and falling while admiring a beautiful sunset. According to his claim, the view was so visually stunning that it distracted him from watching where he was going, causing him to lose his balance and fall. He argued that the city should be held responsible for creating an environment that was dangerously distracting to pedestrians. The court quickly dismissed the case, stating that natural beauty is not a public hazard and that individuals are responsible for paying attention to their surroundings while walking. Another strange lawsuit involved a prisoner who sued the prison system for being too quiet. He claimed that the lack of noise and constant silence caused him emotional distress, anxiety, and difficulty sleeping. According to the lawsuit, the quiet environment negatively affected his mental health and violated his basic rights. He demanded compensation for psychological suffering. The court dismissed the case, ruling that silence does not constitute harm and that the prison conditions did not violate any legal standards. The case was quickly forgotten, but it remains one of the most unusual complaints ever brought before an American court. Another bizarre lawsuit involved a man who sued a movie theater for showing a film that he claimed was too scary. According to his complaint, the movie caused him severe stress, nightmares, and emotional trauma that lasted for weeks. He argued that the theater should have warned viewers more clearly about the intensity of the film. The court dismissed the lawsuit, stating that fear is a subjective experience and that movie theaters are not responsible for individual emotional reactions to fictional content. The case never advanced beyond the initial filing, but it remains one of the strangest entertainment-related lawsuits in American legal history. These cases prove one thing. In America, almost anyone can file a lawsuit. Winning it, however, is a very different story. If you enjoyed these unbelievable but real court cases, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments which case shocked you the most.